Do you know those Russian nesting dolls? You know, the ones that open up to the biggest doll, and then you find another one inside, and then another, and then another. You have to have seen them, I'm sure. Many years ago, when I was performing in Russia, I found a set and recently came across them the other day. As I kept opening each doll, getting smaller and smaller and smaller, I had a really interesting thought. We're kind of like these dolls, aren't we? On the outside, we've painted ourselves with bright colors, but instead of paint, it's been our achievements, our titles, our roles, the promotion we just got, or the marathon that we just ran, or that perfect parent that we try to be. These things become our showpiece, what we present to the world. But what happens when we start opening up those layers, one at a time? What's at the very center, in that tiny, solid doll that can't be opened anymore? The other day, I was speaking with someone that I know and love dearly, and someone who had achieved more than most could imagine. Right? They had the certifications, they had the awards, the accolades. Everyone knew who they were. The kind of success that, well, a lot of people just dream of. But what struck me the most was that they walked away from it all. Not because they failed, and not because they had no more to give, but because they realized the most valuable thing in their life wasn't in the titles. It wasn't in the admiration or being recognized. It was in the time spent with their family. And really, it made me wonder how much of who we are is tangled up in what we do. I mean, if the applause stopped tomorrow, who would we be? And would we still even recognize ourselves? Well, let's find out. I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. From the time that we are young, we are given labels. Student, athlete, musician, doctor, CEO, mom, dad. We wear them like name tags, right? A shortcut for people to understand who we are. I mean, it makes sense. I get it. But what's one of the very first questions that we often ask someone that we just met? So what do you do? And after years of building and striving and pushing ourselves to be something, it's easy to believe that's all we are. That our worth is tied to what we achieve. And that without it, well, who are we? But here's the thing. Titles can be taken away, right? I mean, success, it can shift. Life obviously throws us curveballs. And if our identity is built entirely on what we do, what happens when we can't do it anymore? So maybe, just maybe, we chase these accolades, not just because we want to achieve great things, but because we're trying to outrun something else. I mean, maybe it's a way of covering up old wounds, right? The moments in life where we felt unseen or unheard or even powerless. But maybe we believe if we collect enough trophies, they'll drown out the voices from our past that told us we weren't enough. I mean, there's a reason why so many people feel lost after retirement. Why athletes struggle when they step off the field for the very first time, or when someone who has spent their entire life climbing the corporate ladder suddenly wonders, was it ever really about the ladder at all? You see, the truth is, what you do is this one chapter in the book of who you are. I'm going to say that one more time. The truth is, what you do is just one chapter in the book of who you are. And yes, while it's an important chapter, it's not the whole story. Your job, your accomplishments, the things that you have worked hard for, yes, They matter. I'm not dismissing that, but they are not the entirety of you. They don't capture the way that you comfort a friend, the way you laugh uncontrollably at a joke, or the way you show kindness to a stranger. Those moments, the ones that aren't tied to a paycheck or a plaque or a trophy, they're just as much a part of your story. And so the truth is, what you do is this one chapter in the book. It is. It's one chapter in the book of who you are. And while it's an important chapter, it's not the whole story. I mean, think about the people you love the most, right? Do you love them because of their job or their title, or because of how many awards that they have won, right? Or do you love them for the way that they make you feel? For the warmth and their presence and the way they remember the little things, or the way that they just make an ordinary moment really special. Their value isn't in their accolades. It's in who they are when the spotlight is off, when there's no stage, when there's no audience. And that's the part of them. That's the part of them that stays with you because of how many awards they won. Or do you love them the way they make you feel? For how they listen, for how they show up, for how they love. And if that's true for the people that you love, isn't that true for you as well? I mean, if others aren't defined solely by what they do, then why should you be? Did you hear that? If others are not defined by what they do, then why should you? Why should your sense of worth be attached to something so fleeting when the real essence of who you are has always been in the way that you show up, in the way that you love, in the way that you give, in the simple moments that don't need recognition? You are not the sum of your LinkedIn profile, right? You are not just the highlights of your resume. Yeah, those things may help you navigate the world, but they don't tell the world who you are. And while achievements can obviously open doors, they will never define the heart that walks through them. And at the end of the day, when everything else fades, it's your kindness, it's your integrity, it's your love that leave the greatest impact. You're not just the highlights of your resume. You're not. And while those things may open doors, they're never going to define the heart that walks through them. Here, I want you to try something with me. If you are in a safe space, close your eyes. Now, if you're not able to, just take a deep breath with me, right? And imagine yourself standing in front of a mirror. Now, I want you to start peeling off the labels. Take away the job title. Take away the achievements, the awards, the things that you're known for, one by one. Let them go. What's left? Who is standing there when everything else is stripped away? Looking in the mirror, is that person kind? Are they thoughtful? Are they brave? Are they gentle? Are they resilient? Do they love deeply? Do they make people laugh? Do they try their best, even when no one is watching? That is who you are. That is the part of you that lasts. It probably comes as no surprise when I say that we live in a world that tells us our worth is in our productivity. That if we're not doing, we're failing, right? But some of the most meaningful moments in life happen when we're just being. When we're holding a child's hand on a walk, or sitting across from a friend who needs you, right? Or when we're laughing at a joke so simple and pure, it just makes your stomach hurt. or watching the sunrise, not because it's on a checklist, but because it's just something you wanted to see. Yeah, none of these moments come with a certificate, right? Sitting and watching the stars at night, which I love to do, that's not really an achievement. I mean, at least quantifiably so. But aren't they the ones that really matter the most? So throughout this week, try flipping the script on validation. Pay attention to what you find yourself seeking approval through achievements. Instead of measuring success by recognition, maybe shift your perspective. So instead of saying, I did great because I got recognized for what I just did, well, maybe change that over. I did great because I showed up. I tried. I cared. Let your effort define you more than your outcome. So instead of, I did great because I showed up and I tried and I cared, let your effort define you more than the outcome. You can actually do this by practicing a schedule to just be, to just sit and look at the stars, right? Or to sit with your pet or your child or that cup of coffee. Just taking 10 minutes each day to do something that really brings you a moment of happiness, but has no measurable achievement, right? Allow yourself to exist without needing to produce or accomplish anything tangible. And then check in with yourself. Like throughout the day, ask, who am I outside of what I do? Write down one thing about yourself that has nothing to do with accomplishments, something that makes you, you. Focus on that small, quiet moment that brings you the meaning of life, whether it's a deep conversation or a slow morning coffee or laughter with a loved one. But notice these things as the moments that define a life that is really well lived. Okay, so coming back to those Russian nesting dolls, when you strip away all of the outer layers, the jobs, the titles, the achievements, you are left with something solid, something unbreakable. That smallest doll, the one that can't be opened, that's you. It's not your job. It's not your achievements. It's you. And that's more than enough. So, what do you do with this, right? Well, you start noticing the moments that you don't need validation. Those quiet in-between moments of life. You remind yourself that while accomplishments, yeah, they're great, they are, they don't define you. Instead, you invest in things that last. Relationships, kindness, the moments that bring a smile to your face. Because at the end of the day, the smallest doll, the real you, that's the part that remains, no matter what changes around you. And that's enough. You are more than this. You are. You are more than that list. You always have been. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And until next time, be kind to your mind and join me again as we calm it down. To find more episodes of Calm It Down, see where I may be appearing in your area, or just simply want to know where to send me some chocolate chip cookies, visit calmitdownpodcast.com. This podcast was written and produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson, composer, pianist, and nationally recognized Sweet Tooth. The views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and not intended, nor should they, serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnosis rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Only a licensed physician should evaluate your situation, provide a diagnosis, or render other medical advice to you, and you should only act upon the advice of this physician. Now, I'm an extreme empath by nature, but my profession is that of a composer and pianist, not a licensed therapist or physician. I hear from thousands of listeners how my music has helped them through various stages of emotional needs, and I simply want to offer this in future podcast episodes to aid those needs. So to find a list of licensed professionals in your area, please visit calmitdownpodcast.com. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review, or better yet, share it with a friend. While it takes less than 60 seconds to do, its impact will last for years to come, as every little bit helps in growing the awareness and the importance of mental and emotional health. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And until next time, be kind to your mind and join me again as we calm it down.